Writing about his 1831 visit to the United States, Alexis de Tocqueville said, "Americans grouped together to hold fetes, found seminaries, build inns, construct churches, distribute books. I have frequently admired the endless skill with which the inhabitants of the United States managed to set a common aim to the efforts of a great number of men, and to persuade them to pursue it voluntarily."
The history of charitable organizations in America is a long one. From fire departments, orphanages, hospitals, and houses of worship, this country's citizens have come together voluntarily to help one another.
As early as the Tariff Acts of 1894 and 1909, we were putting down in writing that groups organized for charitable purposes shouldn't have to pay taxes.
But have we forgotten this ethic?
We're in a time when all 501c3 organizations under the watchful eye of the IRS face loss of their tax-exempt status if they dare speak out about a political candidate.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. To figure out how we got here, let's take a look at the history of the federal income tax.
Well, you're telling me the federal income tax has a history. It hasn't always been with us?
It certainly feels like that. But the federal income tax is a fairly modern institution. In 1861, the first year of the Civil War, our nation's first official federal income tax was levied. It began as a flat rate of 3% on incomes higher than $800, which is about $21,000 in today's money.
But Congress voted to let that income tax expire in 1872.
Which means by that point in time, since the ratification of our Constitution in 1787, a federal income tax was only levied for a temporary 12-year period.
Now fast forward to 1913. It was an eventful year in America. Camel introduced the first packaged cigarettes.
The first modern crossword puzzle appeared in print.
Rosa Parks, Vince Lombardi, Jesse Owens, and Bear Bryant were all born.
Houndstooth.
Yeah, lots of houndstooth.
The Brooklyn Dodgers moved into their new stadium, Ebbets Field. The Philadelphia Athletics beat the New York Giants in the World Series.
And the Wright brothers' new Model E was soaring over Huffman Prairie.
But those weren't the only notable things to happen in 1913. That same year, the 16th Amendment to the Constitution was adopted. That was big news then, and it's still big news today.
The amendment reads, "Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived, without apportionment among the several states, and without regard to any census or enumeration." Again, Congress now has the power to levy an income tax.
This paved the way for the Revenue Act of 1913, which reimposed the federal income tax, and this was signed into law by Woodrow Wilson. But what might come as a surprise is the rate of the tax.
That's right. In fact, if you were making up to $4,000 a year and you were filing jointly, and $4,000 is roughly $100,000 in today's money, you paid exactly $0 in federal income tax. Now, this Revenue Act of 1913 had in it language that related to those tax-exempt organizations, and this language echoed words that had been around since those Tariff Acts that we talked about earlier. And this language said, quote, "Nothing herein contained shall apply to corporations, companies, or associations organized and conducted solely for charitable, religious, or educational purposes." Again, don't tax these folks.
This finally codified the long-standing tradition that voluntary, charitable organizations of all types filled a unique role in society, one that government does not.
And in a sense, it was a legal admission that government didn't have a birthright to tax churches and charities. Nonprofits remained free to do what they do, even if that meant that they felt compelled to speak out about a political candidate every once in a while.
And it's not exactly easy to become a nonprofit organization.
No.
There's paperwork involved. You have to make an application to the federal government. You have to be recognized with a mission and a statement and become a trust. The public has to trust you in what you're doing. But in 1954, to remain tax exempt, nonprofits were forced to give up a portion of their constitutional rights. Lyndon B. Johnson, a senator from Texas, was running for re-election, and a group, a nonprofit group, a 501c3, not a church, had come out in support of Johnson's political opponent, and his name was
Dudley Doherty.
Dudley Doherty. Well, Johnson, then the Democrat minority leader, shot back by introducing language to amend part of the federal tax code. This language, known as the Johnson Amendment, is still in effect today. It's 31 words, and it reads that these groups not participate in or intervene in,
including the publishing or distributing of statements,
any political campaign on behalf
or in opposition to
any candidate for public office.
There's also no record of anyone ever debating this amendment.
This means the ACLU, NPR, TED Talks, the local YMCA, Red Cross, United Way, and countless other nonprofits, churches, mosques, synagogues all around the country can't speak out for or against a political candidate.
But now some people might be asking, Rob, wasn't there a recent executive order about this? I mean, shouldn't this all be taken care of by now?
More words will not fix this problem. The Johnson Amendment is 31 words in length. That's all. The way to fix the problem is to repeal those 31 words, take them out of code, and allow all nonprofits to have their right to free speech. To find out more information regarding the Johnson Amendment, you can visit us at thepublicsquare.com, our national radio program that has done a number of shows on this exact topic. We will also post the link below. He told me we were recording today, so I wore nice socks. Apparently my socks aren't important enough to get in the shot. But in 1954,
Hang on, I'm brushing my hair back. All right.
Get a haircut.
Okay, Dad.
Get off my lawn.